Next, let's look at on how to fix date problems and format date properly, and also how to make the most of the find and replacement option or substitute formula to replace or substitute a particular word in a text value. So what is next? Next thing is, when you look at on the column customer name, see, and also when you look at on the phone, also when you look at on the order date, it all comprised with some spaces in the front of a particular value and also in between the values and also at the end of values, right, like this. See, there is a space in the front of the text value and also there is space in between the values. So how can we remove these kind of values? It can be removed using the text functions. So what are the text function? Which is the text function that we are using to remove the spaces? It's none other than trim. So trim is the function which we are using to remove the spaces in front or in between or after also, right? So I am creating or inserting a column as a prior or as a and now I am applying the trim function. So it asks for trim mean. So we need to remove the spaces, right? So I am choosing the trim function and I have to select the text. Enter. So now the spaces which was there in front of the text value is removed now. So when I drag it down, the whole set values or whole values in this data will be trimmed and the data will not have any spaces in between or in front, like this. Okay. Yeah. So the same manner we can do in the next cells also. For current video, I am illustrating only on this data. Okay. So what we need to remain this data, right? Not this one. So what we have to do for that? So for doing such thing, either you can do to hide this particular column, but this is not an apt way to do. So what we have to do then? If I removed, can I remove this column? Oops. If I remove this column, an error occurred, the reference error. Why? Because the function which was trim and it was referred that particular cell which I have deleted just now. So we can't do such a rubbish thing when we clean the data. So what we have to do? So what we have to do is we have to copy this particular cell values, Control C, and you have to paste it. And while pasting, it is not the simplest way of pasting. You can't do Control V. Instead of that, you have to take the paste special option. So when you click on the paste special option, it will ask for in which manner you have to in which manner you have to paste. So here we have so many options. So we have to, for the current situation, I have to copy the values only, right? So I'm clicking on the values and just click OK. See, now the values are copied here. You can't see the formula which I have used here. So when I click on this particular data, you will see the formula which I have used to remove the spaces. But when I click on this data, it will not show the formula. It just copied the values which I have done with the formula. Okay, now we can delete this particular column. Okay. Yes. One more thing I have to do with this data is, as you look at on this edited column, you can see that majority of the values are in proper case. But what about this one? Muscle Machine Inc. So it shows some kind of weird case, right? So it has capital letters in between, within a word, and there are so many smaller letters also. So it is not in a proper uppercase or proper lowercase or a proper case sentences like that. So we have to remove that also, right? So with the string option is not enough to clean this particular column. So what we have to do? We have to use another text function. So for using that, the function which we have to use is proper. So I'm going to use the proper function now and just clicking OK like this. And when I drag it down, all the cases will be in a proper case. Okay, so let's look at on the value. See, this was the data which were M capital, U, S small letter, C capital. So when we use the function Muscle Machine Inc., it has changed to the proper cases. So now our data has cleaned perfectly. Now we can copy this data to that particular cell values. So Control C and go to Paste Special, Values Only. Okay. So now we have cleared or cleaned that particular column in a perfect and neat manner. Okay. So this is how we can use the text functions to format the data. And now let's look at on the date function or the date column. So now let's look at on how to fix date. As you can see that there is a column of order date, but the value is not in the date format. How can we change this? So when I put any of the date, let's say 2020, and when I change it to, now it's in date format, right? So as you can see that this particular cell is occupied with date value. When I change it to general, it changes to a number. So this is what happened with this particular cell also. Since the particular column is occupies with the date value, but the format is in general. So what we have to do is, you have to use the value of this. When you look at on the particular value, and I'm just clicking, you will get the value like this. And also when I entered a particular date like this, no, and when I enter value of this, it will also give the general number of this particular date. So it is as simple as that. So what we have to do is you have to change this general format to date like this. So you will get the order date in the date format itself. So if the date column is occupied with any of these kind of general value, you have to change the format from general to date. So this is about how can we fix the date problems and how can we format the date properly. Next, so how can we use this find and replace option and also substitute function for the same purpose? So let's take one of the column value. Yeah, let's look at on the column customer name. Here you can see that it comprises with some short terms, like it's used CO for company, right? So I want to replace all the CO to COMP or company. So what we have to do? So I am just clicking on Control F, and you have to set the replace, select the replace one, and wherever you see CO, you have to replace it with COMP or company, and I am replacing all. So as you can see that all done, we made 101 replacements. So when you look at on each of this, you will notice that all the CO has replaced by company. Okay, so now what? The same thing we can use using the substitute function. So I'm just clicking on the Ctrl Z button. I'm undoing this, and again I'm just inserting a column for using the substitute function. Substitute, bracket opens, proper of this value, comma, what is the alt text? It says CO dot to COMPANY, company. Yeah, and just click OK. Now also it has replaced. So the same find and replace option can be used with the substitute function like this. So it was just an illustration to replace a particular column. Either you can use substitute or you can use find and replace. So that's it for the data cleaning part 1. In the next video, we will look at on how can we import a file which is not an XLSX file, and how can we clean that particular data when we import a text or any other files into the Excel. Thank you so much.